so that was what I had mentioned a little bit ago. And it's very aligned. Everything she was saying with essential oils being hyper concentrated is definitely what we learned during our essential oil curriculum. And it's super, super aligned. Like essential oils are very acute. They are at a large level unnatural. And you heard Lucy say at the end that you take acute measures with acute disease. And so if you're going to, the example I gave was my friends having dengue in the tropics. If they're going to be taking pharmaceuticals or something anyway to try to get over this deeply miserable, painful, acute illness, then why not take at least a natural form of acute medicine? And so I am a fan of it for that. Essential oils daily internally is not at all something that I've ever encouraged. And something that we haven't really spent a lot of time talking on here, we brushed towards it when she was saying she didn't have time to forage her own herbs, but that would obviously be ideal, is the sourcing of herbs. And we talked a little bit about this, if you guys remember from Plants Week, that we have an amazing array of herbs in the world, that the ones that are sourced to people are, largely cost effective. So they're probably monocultures. Whether they're organic or not, it should actually say, and believe it or not, most of the supplement industry is not organic. The soil that they're grown in and the plants that they're grown around will determine the, I don't want to say nutrition, but because of course when we're dealing with flavonoids and secondary chemical metabolites, it's a form of nutrition, but that the soil itself will determine the nutrition of the herbs and thus their efficacy. Like there's so much to look at when we bring in the authentication of actual herbs and plant parts. Versus the cheapest on the market. I mean, the moment that our food and our health became a commodity, we lost. It's a losing game always, because it's always going to push towards bottom line. So for like Andrea's tincture question, where are the herbs from? And any kind of essential oil question, how are the essential oils made? It's just like with food, we have all of these same, okay, like broccoli is not broccoli. What variety of broccoli is it? What species? How long has it been since it's been picked? Was it chewed or was it taken in properly? And that's herbal medicine if it's taken at the wrong time of the day, or with food or without food, or with another herb or food that's actually blocking its efficacy, et cetera, et cetera. There's more questions that we have to ask. So that's opening a wormhole, but just so that this is the mental agility that I'm encouraging in you guys when we start to get these more curative approaches, or almost, it's almost palliative in a way. A lot of herbal medicine is palliative because you're taking symptom and then you're taking something that's counter symptom. So you're bloated and you have a bellyache. Okay, how about some peppermint tea for you? Okay, insomnia. Okay, how about some chamomile tea? And you see, it's not actually going to the root problem. The person's bloated because they ignored food combining, they're dehydrated and they haven't pooped in 3 days, right? The person's not sleeping because they're emotionally completely wrecked and they have no outlet, and they're running on high from anxiety and nervous system overhaul. It's like, cool, the chamomile tea, the thing that's magic about herbs and what Lucy's really good at explaining is that the herbs will work on more than you see. Right? You might prescribe it for this, but the herb will work on the entire back thing. So at some level, it might get to the root, but ultimately it's not going there. And I don't want to say, like, what's coming to me is that it's almost dishonest with the client. And I don't want to say that in a bad way, but it's like you trick the client to taking this to solve their problem, right? And they don't have to do the hard work of going deep, and yet the herb does it on its own, and maybe the person will show up next week having, cured their anxiety. And this is stuff that Lucy talked about earlier in the week. And so is that a quote unquote better way than having them come in and say, hey, I'll give you this chamomile tea to provide you this momentary solace, I'll also recommend that you start practicing yoga nidra every night before bed. And moreover, we're going to look at limiting screen time. We're going to look at some kind of pranayama or breath work. We will definitely make sure that your digestive system is eliminating, that you're well hydrated. And we're going to start a journaling practice for all of the ping-ponging back and forth in your mind to have an outlet. And, you're a worthy human to be here. Right? And whatever you're experiencing is a human thing. And let's just talk about that and allow its existence to be there. Right? Is that a more impactful treatment than just saying, take this chamomile tea 3 times a day? So it's and that's, I would say, probably at large the difference between a naturopath and a herbalist, is that theoretically a naturopath should be prescribing mixed modality approach, and a herbalist is there to prescribe herbs because they have that much trust in the herbs, not dissimilar to how much trust Helen Wood has in colon hydrotherapy, that she'll say, eat whatever, right? And colonics will do it, And so, you guys know me well enough to know that in many ways I'm an extremist, because fasting and gravity method colonics are so powerful. And at the same time, it's there's a greater arc of psychosomatic interaction that's happening. Everything from client, patient, doctor, practitioner relationship to how honest the person's being with themselves. And at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. There's no herb that can make you more honest with yourself. That takes deep work. And that deep work is where we're going in mind. So, yeah. I saw that there was a question about diet, and you guys are welcome to speak too. We get to chat. There we go. Okay, so how do you feel about her plant-based approach linked to animal diet connected to mucus forming? Yeah, cool. There's a lot of mucus discussion in her lessons. Totally. Yeah, Lucy she's not a natural hygienist, right? No natural hygienist will ever be a herbalist. I don't know if I should be so extreme to say that, but at large, you're a natural hygienist because you don't believe in herbs, and you're a herbalist because you don't know the power of fasting. Oh, Andy's bad. It's an and approach. It's an inclusive everything. So in terms of what she says about plant-based diet, I loved that Lucy was cool. There's no extreme answer here. This is not a yes or no. Again, we're not in the territory of good or bad. It's let's see what the situation is, right? Was that child a vegetarian because their parents were spiritual and they've only ever had vegetarian food their entire life, and it's not really a well-balanced diet? They've had rice and dal and a little bit of vegetables here and there, coated in oil, hydrogenated processed oil with tons of salt, and that's what their diet's been for their whole life, right? That person is not going to be well nourished. So your plant-based approach doesn't tell me anything. Plant-based I prefer much more than vegan, because plant-based at least tells me you're eating plants, but I eat fruits and vegetables. When people ask me if I'm vegan or what my diet is, I eat fruits and vegetables. It's that, that's all that we need to know. And then when you know that the person's having nutrition coming in and they're having foods that are largely non-mucus forming. And that's very different than vegan. And so in terms of what Lucy talks about with mucus and moving it through the body, this is another great example that you bring up about the palliative approach of herbalism, of okay, well, it's going to see that there's mucus there and acknowledge mucus as a normal human condition, and then look at herbs which are going to clear it, rather than saying, okay, there's mucus there, perhaps there's a certain diet or lifestyle that could not create mucus, so it's just this is the mental agility of, I want you guys to see what perspective anyone speaking is speaking from, and what are the cognitive biases of their lineage and their tradition that they're representing, as well as when they're speaking. And Lucy was very unbiased. she said that both Ayurveda and Chinese medicine strongly discourage vegetarianism, which definitely isn't true. I mean, you look at macrobiotics, which may include a bit of fish, but it's really the practitioner, right? It's not the actual. You can't say that Chinese medicine has a voice or Ayurveda has a voice, especially today when it's been so bastardized by human interpretation. I mean, the Vedas themselves say that in the Rig Veda, it says freshly fallen fruit is the purest yogic food. And so thus, Ayurveda should be prescribing freshly fallen fruit. But a lot of these things have been greatly adapted to the modern Indian and the modern Chinese diet and lifestyle. And if you've read the China study, or if you know about it, you know that the Chinese diet has greatly changed over the past 40, 50 years. As has everything else. And this nutrition transition is what I wrote my master's thesis on. And that has been a massive correlation, or has led to a massive correlation with rise in diet and disease, diet-related disease. So yeah, I mean, I don't have opinions. I mean, it definitely sounds like I do, but I don't have opinions either way. My interest is much more in taking that bigger picture perspective and being able to take the mental agility of understanding the bigger picture. And that's what I hope to give to you guys. And I hope that all of these different approaches are also stirring up within you, because whereas it's so easy to throw yourself in and love herbalism and, you know, drown in it, like it's an honest part of it is also antithetical to a lot of the epigenetics that TIFA stands for. So it's like, how do we surf in these waves? And that's the reality of life. Yeah. Hope that's helpful to you. Do you guys have any thoughts? Anything else I can help with? Do you have anything you want to share about your perception or engagement with it? All of you, I'm going to unmute you all. You have no choice but to be unmuted. Very good.
I love her relationship with plants. Like, I think that connection, it kind of inspires and like makes me want to like. And I did like a little herbalist course thing where we did like a tea sensing ceremony or practice, and it was really powerful because they look at, like, they were the lady was saying the same thing, that they spent like the whole day like eating, tasting, drawing, meditating, dancing with a plant, and that was how they would learn each plant. And yeah, there's something really, I think, profound about connecting in that way.
100%. Thank you for bringing this up, Divya, because it connects us right directly back into our Indigenous medicine curriculum. If you'll remember Wade Davis saying when he was interfacing with the South American shamans, he comes forward and says, how do you distinguish 50 different varieties of the ayahuasca vine? We in Western science only know one. And they say, I thought you knew something about botany, as he has a PhD, you know, from Harvard or whatever. And they say, we go out under the full moon and the plants sing to us in a different key. And so what don't we know? That's always, always, always the great Socratic question to ask. What don't we know? And where are we assuming that we know something? And wherein could we be limited? And really the answers at large, like I was saying earlier to Andrea, come from our body. They come from our own experience of being able to witness the plant's effect upon us. But what that requires is our ability to witness, right? Our own sensitivity and our own awareness over our own embodied being. And so there's so much here, as well as what time of the month are you taking the tincture, both on your own moon cycle and the moon cycle? What's happening astrologically, you know? What ceremonies or rituals are there historically in your human lineage tradition, and in your Indian lineage or your Native American lineage, or your, you know, like whatever it is. There's so many questions to ask. Yeah. Beautiful. Tell me. Nothing? We can finish.
I have one thing to say, one more, sorry. It's not related to the lesson. It's related to TIFA. And like, is there going to be an opportunity to talk about what you've shortly said a few times, that you were going to share a bit of TIFA with us? Like what is that about? Or maybe I missed it, I don't know. And also, who are the founders? Are you the founder? Like, are you like you want to come with other people too? Like, I would like to understand what your vision is, and how I can incorporate it to my own work, you know.
Yes, I love that.
Because
Definitely.
I want to be like, I like the vision of TIFA, you know, but it's kind of difficult when you have different opinions about something. Like today, I also have might have other opinions that don't align with what your vision is, you know. And like, I want to know, like, more or less, if we're going to have, this is a long subject, I guess, but if we're going to have an opportunity to discuss it.
Yeah, totally. That's what the entire process is. And it's, we can revisit like, I think actually something that might be helpful, Amanda, is if you go back and listen to our January 6th call, because you'll definitely be hearing it with different ears now. But that's why it's there and recorded. It's lesson 1. And that might answer some of the intermediate questions as to our why. And then our what is constantly evolving. Like, my desire is actually for this to become a master's program in preventative health. And like, it'll take time to go there. And as I've said to you guys several times, like, I do plan for you all upon graduation to own a part of the business. And just in short, to answer, like, it's me. There's no one else. I can bring in faculty members, but like, it's me behind the scenes doing it all, and birthing this. And a large part of it is centrally mostly to be able to kind of give my practice and give my career away so that I can leave. Because no one's doing it. No one, at least on a large global public scale, is including all of this with such a non-dualistic approach. And the process of asking more questions than having answers is something really precious and needed for humanity. It's reinstilling the process of critical inquiry, and that is very much the spirit of TIFA. Hence the arrow, the Sagittarian quest for truth, the pine tree, and all of this. So a small answer to a big question, and definitely something that I want to continue discussing. And you guys are part of that. I mean, as the first class, like, you're very much a part of this, and that's my continuous desire and ask for your feedback, as well as what more you want, what less you want, and things like that. It's all a work in progress and a learning experience, and the experience of it is TIFA. Yeah. Does that give you an answer for now, at least?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, love, for sure. Okay. Anything else? Jackie, did you want to say something?
Yeah. How did you know?
I guess I can tell this is part of the TIFA superpowers.
Yeah. I don't know. Probably totally unrelated. I'm feeling distracted because while I'm like listening to these classes, and I have my own, personal stuff going on, and as this journey is a big
personal transformation as well. So in order to bring our whole selves into it. And so I'm searching for answers because I'm currently experiencing, I had a echocardiogram on my heart. You know about this already, Andy. So I'm searching for, like, there's some structural stuff that's showing up. So I'm wondering if there's now I'm wondering if there's any herbs that can, that I can incorporate into my, my world that will shift some abnormalities, but it's structural. So I'm wondering maybe when we go through let me know if I'm not making any sense. As we go through the mind semester, maybe I'll reestablish my confidence in my beliefs that it doesn't matter what something shows me, it matters what I can feel inside my own body, and how I am in relation to that as I just continue to live. I experienced, just to put some context around what I was trying to get at there, when I had an x-ray with a chiropractor last year, and then I went and she's like, oh, this part's kind of weak and this part's kind of weak. And I went to a yoga class directly after that. I experienced that cognitive or body dissonance of being told that my body was weak and then actually experiencing it like that. The yoga class the day before was fine. I felt fluid, I felt strong. But because I got shown an x-ray and it was official and everything, then I experienced it, and I had this battle with myself during that yoga class. And it was really interesting to see, because as we're all discovering more and more, there's so much more to this reality than we can possibly comprehend. So that's kind of a little bit of that's kind of where I'm at the moment, is I'm distracted because I'm wondering about the correlation between what I'm going to find with something that is posed as structural, meaning in the course of clinical, that means it's immovable, inflexible, it's decided. But I don't kind of agree that it should be that way. So anyway, that's what you saw me my cogs on, Andy.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for your awareness over your own process. That's the most important thing at the end of the day. And anything I would have to mirror back, if you want anything, is the experience of this. This is actually really powerful, I think, for everyone. Bad things won't not happen to you in your life from here on forward. What can change is your awareness over them. I forget who it was. It might have been Anna. One of my friends just wrote me recently, and something had happened to her, and she recalled me telling the story of last summer when I got in a motorbike accident in Greece. I was eating cherries, as I do, multitasking, while I was driving on the motorbike on Paros, this island of Greece. And as I was going, it seemed that a guy had pulled out of a place across the road and wanted to flirt with me or something. So he was driving directly towards me, the game of chicken. And I swerved, in case he was going to drive into me. And as I swerved, I flew off my motorbike, as I often do, it seems like once a year. And as I was falling, I was like, oh, okay, this is happening. All right, this is what's happening. And I hit the ground, and thank God I hit a hay pile and was wearing a helmet. And as I hit the ground, my first breath is actually a breath. It's okay, you're okay. Everything's okay. You're okay. And I look at my hand, and I'm still holding a cherry. And I'm just oh, that's not needed anymore. And I throw it behind me and just take one foot in front of another. And so the reason that I share this story is to show you the level of self-perception when things happen, and they will perhaps trigger something inside of us, whether it's our own conception about ourselves, whether it's our own conception about the situation, or ultimately our rejection of the situation. And acceptance is at the heart of everything, and this is what we'll learn in mind. And that's, of course, easier said than done, but that is the most powerful medicine. And so in your case, Jackie, how this relates is when the doctor is telling you those things about your week and this and that, it's like, oh, okay, like, interesting, that's your narrative that you're choosing to put. I accept that as your narrative, because everything is always conspiring in our favor. Everything is always a lesson. And so what do you learn from that? And not from your rejection of that, the doctor's wrong and I'm strong and I'm going to prove her different, right? And also not the dogmatic believing of like, I'm weak and frail and I have nothing. And it's that equanimous, oh, okay, this is what's happening right now. Okay. And then everything else is just an exploration. And everything that it ruffles in your feathers, everything that it brings up inside of you, of the entire inquiry process through the subsequent yoga class, like, that's the work. That's the interesting stuff. It's like, oh, cool, this is what this has brought up in me, or these are these old behaviors that I'm bringing back out, or whatever it is. And yeah, I mean, definitely our next semester we go deep into psychosomatics and we learn that nothing is ever just physical. And so I guess if I were to give advice, it would be something in the realm of keep the inquiry. And that's really that. I mean, that's, again, going back to the last discussion, this is what TIFA is about. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I wrote this thing recently about how it's really wonderful when we have questions, because the word quest is in the word question. So if we didn't have questions, we wouldn't have a quest.
Love it.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah. Thanks everyone as well. While I'm in still, everyone seems to have muted again. I just love seeing everybody in class, and it's just like, yeah, it's really beautiful to be surrounded by you guys. And when we finally get to be in physical space together, it's going to be great. But yeah, I just want to thank you for showing up as well, because it's really valuable for me to be connected to you guys as a class as we're moving through this too. And yeah, so thanks.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. That's the breakout groups, that's your accountability buddies, that's your doing the initiation together month after month is super powerful in unseen ways. I know, for example, Danny and Amanda made a new bond this month in the initiation, and all of that, like, it will continue to serve to strengthen this community because you guys, you know, you're the ones holding it. Okay, we'll all leave. Mwah. Love you all. See you soon.